Welcome one and all to the cricket.com awards night, one day prior to the grandest spectacle of them all. India-Australia, of course, kicks off on Sunday, but here we are on a Saturday evening to pick the bones about what's been truly a fascinating World Cup. The 2023 ODI World Cup hasn't, of course, seized with some great moments on the pitch, off the pitch. We'll, of course, talk about some fantastic stories, controversies too, and of course give our thoughts about what's been a fascinating 47 matches so far in this World Cup. But as usual, we have the Monday Night Live crew and Nikhil Popar and Akshay because, of course, Anirudh's off. I don't know who gets off during the World Cup, but he's not there. Gurkirat's driving. Somesh is going to cover the press conference not too far away from us. But let's, of course, introduce the men in the panel right now. And Nikhil, loving the blue throughout the World Cup. How are you, my friend, on Saturday?
They're good. It feels surreal that all of this has gone by just very quickly. I know a lot of us have done a lot of traveling and a lot of great stuff, and which is good to see. We've had good response from people as well, both on and off the field, which is great to see. And yeah, it takes one day, but it's taken a lot more than just one day to put all of this together. So kudos to everybody involved, and also to the people for reading and following us all the while.
That's absolutely brilliant for you to say that, and I echo those thoughts completely because look, what we've done so far on cricket.com is just had a blast giving you guys all the content that you guys like, and the proof's in the pudding because even our subscribers have just been increasing steadily, and we want that to kind of increase at a certain speed heading into that all-important clash between Australia and India, or should I say India versus Australia? Sorry, before I get
So
daggers thrown in the
I
comments,
thought
of course.
I thought you were going to say the Australia India T20 series, but okay.
Not yet. That's still about, 5 days away. Akshay, how are you, my friend? So far, it's been a riveting World Cup, and we'll, of course, talk about the best bits. But the final leg, here we are in Ahmedabad. How are you feeling right now, prior to the World Cup final?
I don't know, a bit of relief, a bit of, man, it's all coming to an end. So a bit of, I don't know if regret is the right word, but yeah, there is that tinge of sadness. Ki yaar, ab to ye sab khatam ho raha hai. But yeah, it's been a great journey, a great experience for all of us. And it's been great fun. Again, like Avni said, bringing all of this content to you guys. Thank you so much for all the love. And yeah, just looking forward to, talking about the best bits of the tournament right now.
Indeed. Just before we move forward with the awards, which we have 7 categories for, I just want to alert all you guys to like this video for starters and subscribe if you guys are new. And let me just tell you how the show works, because essentially we're going to bring down those categories. Nick, Akshay, and me will lend our perspectives on it, and we will take the relevant comments. All the other comments, keep them coming through, and we'll, of course, cherry pick the best ones for the last 10 minutes of the show. We're here for the next 90 minutes. We're not having any football references, but 90 minutes, if you guys know, you know. Right, let me just tell you what kind of categories will be hitting your screen in the next 90 minutes, because we're going to talk about the best story of the World Cup, the burden of the team, a controversy of the World Cup, a few unsung heroes who we think have been really standing out, and not to forget certain things like the Lifetime Achievement Award, the show of the World Cup, so on and so forth, including even the star of the World Cup. Right, before we get into that chat, lots of great other videos you guys can check out on cricket.com right now. I personally interviewed the TGC boys, and that's gone swimmingly well. It's been an absolute fun ride with them in that show. There's another one that we put out in terms of the classics, which is the most controversial World Cup final in 2007. Go have a watch of that. And all our cricket.com shots is available on the YouTube platform right now. Right, without further ado, let's get into the first awards category. And I wish we had some guy to do the drum roll, but nevertheless, we'll start with the best story of the World Cup. Right, best story of the World Cup then, gents, because ultimately there's so many memorable ones. And I just want to, of course, ask you guys, just off the bat, what do you think is the best story of the World Cup? Because I'll throw a couple out to help you guys, of course, rewind and reflect on your memory. Afghanistan and what they've achieved so far in this World Cup. Rachin Ravindra, and not to forget Netherlands, Mohammad Shami, and Rohit Sharma. But there's plenty more, and you guys can let us know in the comments as well who you guys think it is, of course. And I'll just show you that right here, right now, because ultimately what I'm talking about is this, right? The 5 that I've just showed upon, and there are many more selections. But here are the nominees we've handpicked on cricket.com. And like I said, Afghanistan to Rachin Ravindra, the Dutch boys, and not to forget Shami, who had an incredible comeback, and the talk of the town, Rohit Sharma, and how selfless he has been. Right, Nikhil Popat, you go first, man. Honestly, any of these five, or do you think there are more stories from your mind?
No, then these five are pretty much a very apt summary of what is gone through. And again, because I know the rest of the categories, so I think I'll keep a few for later. In this one, my simply heart is with Afghanistan there. Uh, Potentially, yes, I will talk about that game also, in where they slipped up, or whichever way you want to say it. But it's the growth that we did not see coming in this clinical lens. So for me, I think it was them collectively coming through as a bowling unit, as a batting unit. Yeah, fielding is something that I'll give it to the sponsor in Amul. But in bowling and batting, I think they were a very good success for me, because they managed to beat a lot of good sides, and that's what you want to see. And again, it's the nature of those wins, the clinical chase that they had against Pakistan, against Sri Lanka as well, and of course, who can forget Omarzai being Omarzai? So. No bias, but I think it's about expectations and what you get. So in terms of that, I feel the story for me is Afghanistan.
I echo those thoughts
And
completely, Akshay. I mean, you look at how Afghanistan's cricketing journey has been. 2010, the T20 World Cup, they debuted in that 13 years ago, and it's just been a meteoric rise, some would say. I know 2019, they kind of had nothing to show for, but 2023, it's a different story altogether, Akshay.
100%. And to be honest, Afghanistan's rise also feels personal because that first T20 World Cup that you spoke about, I remember
Yeah.
those dates. It's etched in my mind. May 5th, 2010 is when Afghanistan played India. Asghar Afghan, then Stanik Zai, Nowroz Mangal, all these names. And all of a sudden, I was like, wait, why does Afghanistan have a team? Why are they playing? It's really very heartening to see them, having, crossed the bridge and come across to the other side of top flight cricket and playing so fantastically well. It's hard to refute Nikhil Bhai's sort of choice in terms of them being the story of the World Cup. Netherlands really gave them a tough fight. They really did well this World Cup. Exceeded my expectations for sure, because something all of us were hoping for is, of course, rooting for the underdog is something that comes
yeah,
in nature to all of us. So that way, all of us were rooting for them. But even then, for them to actually be able to come up with such good
yeah,
results, to come up with such good performances despite the lack of ODI cricket, and that was really really heartening to watch. And again, it's only onwards and upwards from here. I'm genuinely hoping, like Ryan Cook said, their FTP
yeah.
sort of gets a lot more occupied, their players get a lot more game time, so it's definitely great to watch. So I'm somehow just slightly tilted towards Netherlands, but yeah, Afghanistan's also just as good for me.
Look, guys, make no mistake. Afghanistan, when they beat England, we were just absolutely jumping with joy. I think we were in Ahmedabad at the time, and we just went out to celebrate. And if you remember that night correctly, it was absolutely brilliant. They almost beat Australia, barring a Maxwell blitz, which of course could have overdone any team. And not to forget the Pakistan win in Chennai. And I remember that fondly. That will stick with me for a while, guys, because fan cams was so good.
Yeah.
And I think, like, the rest of my team can concur with me, because when we saw those Afghan guys just dance around, for them beating Pakistan, their rivals in this particular sport, it just makes you think how brilliant this World Cup has been for them. And who knows, I mean, onwards and upwards for Afghanistan. Just going back to the nominees then, and I know many people say, okay, fine, Netherlands in that particular win that they got against South Africa and Dharamsala was standout, but we just hoped a little bit more from Netherlands. I know they beat Bangladesh in Kolkata, but we were really thinking about Netherlands as well. Don't get us wrong. But Afghanistan, hands down winners here. There are, of course, other players you can see in this nominees that we'll definitely shed light upon. Rachin Ravindra, make no mistake, as well, is a fantastic tale to tell, because imagine here's a Kiwi who's come through first World Cup and he's topped the run scoring charts for a Kiwi in a World Cup edition. I think he's just tied with Kane Williamson. But nevertheless, you guys let us know in the comments if you guys agree with the nominees, let alone our selection for this award. Right, so that is out of the way. 6 more to go then, guys. And the next one is a little bit of burden on my back. Right, lots of fans across living rooms in the globe, of course, yelling curses, of course, oohs and ahs, teapots, all of that. and it just makes you think about this award a little bit more. So here are the nominees for the burden of this year's World Cup. We apologize. Obviously, no disrespect to any player. We're just
Yeah.
calling it as it is. But here we go. Here are the 5 selections for the nominees, and you guys definitely will agree or disagree. But I'll read out the nominees. Temba Bavuma, as you can see, so much expected of him. Every time I think of Temba right now, I feel for the lad, given the fact that there's so many memes. I don't know if you guys saw that one meme with accelerator, clutch, and brake, and accelerator being Klaasen, the clutch being Miller, and the brake being Temba. But the jokes apart, though, it is, of course, a forgetful World Cup for Temba Bavuma, given the fact that South Africa still haven't made a World Cup final. Then when we look right of Temba Bavuma, we have Tom Latham, who was expected to do a lot. I know he stood in as captain for Kane Williamson initially, and he was tactically brilliant, but with the bat in hand, he was, of course, a disappointment. Then, not to tell you all, but England's batters, we had to fit them in. We had to, because Joss Buttler, whether it was just poor luck or whether it was just a string of poor performances, England's batters were absolutely woeful, given the fact that they were bloody defending champions. So that is something to consider when we pick this award. And finally, Haris Rauf, we know what's been made of him, conceding the most sixes in a World Cup edition. And not to forget the runs that he's conceded, 533. Even though he got 16 wickets, his economy 6.7. And last but finally, not the least, Mitchell Stark. I was going to say Mitchell Marsh. Mitchell Stark, 13 wickets. I know he's had such good World Cups in the past, but to Stark standards, even this is such a World Cup which he'd like to forget, unless he has a say in the final on Sunday against India. Right, Akshay, I'll start with you here. Burden on the team. Who we giving this award to and why? Making up for Paji, he's on mute.
Oh, geez, yeah, covering up for him, clearly. I thought I'd unmuted myself. My bad on that. But yeah, I've been trying to think on this, but it's genuinely, very hard to decide, because one way, what I'm trying to look at is them being a burden and them not having an option to replace would have been one way of looking at it. So with Temba, they did have the option of, Riza Hendricks, who was also in decent, who also had a couple of decent outings. So that way, Temba Bavuma was burden, because they also had an able enough replacement. You can't really say that was the case with someone like a Josh Butler, for example. And again, both of them are skippers, so naturally they are expected to be a part of the side. I'll go with Tom Latham. I don't know, because between the three of them, I feel Tom Latham had a very good chance of again being, taken out of the side once Williamson at least came back in. At least still he wasn't there, he had to be the stand-in skipper and all of that. But once he was out, they could have probably, tried playing all of William, Rachin and Kane, and probably, have Tom Latham out of the side. And again, Latham, the bigger concern with Latham wasn't just the World Cup, but coming into the World Cup as well, he wasn't in the greatest of form. Wasn't really the case with Bavuma. With Bavuma, he was actually in fantastic form in ODI cricket. Unfortunately, had that injury, the niggle, and he couldn't really perform to the best of his abilities. And again, even with Butler, it's not like he was coming in out of form. So at least there I can cut them some slack. But Tom Latham was sort of expected in the sense that he entered the tournament with bad form and he sort of continued that. So that's why my pick would be Tom Latham. And both the bowlers, see, they both got wickets. 16 wickets in 9 games and 13 wickets in 9 games isn't the worst. I know they went for plenty, but he gave wickets to Liya, so there's some benefit of doubt that can be given to them as well. So yeah, Latham is my pick right now.
Next, what about you? Because when we go back to the nominees, he's made a good point there, Akshay, with regards to Tom Latham and Bavuma. Do you agree with Akshay?
Yeah, I do, but my pick are the England batters. More so to do because I think they misfired collectively as a unit and never allowed the bowling to come into the game in most of those games. So, and again, it's not that they are a very young bunch which hasn't played enough cricket, just generally and in India. So I think a lot of them have played a lot of cricket here. Malan was the only guy scoring, and Root, Brook, to think he was anyways didn't play much, but everybody else, Livingston, Sam Curran, Moeen Ali, they've all spent months in this country, and for them to be not and again, it wasn't like the decks where people couldn't bat. It is still a very high scoring tournament. So for them to not come good as a collective was probably a lot of burden on the side that they could never rely on them to come good. So I think uh, cases for Temba, for Tom Latham as well, as Akshay rightly pointed out. But I felt the bigger failure as a unit was England batters.
I think it's an excellent point that you make, Nikhil, because even if you heard all the chat coming from the UK prior to the World Cup, you had Nasser Hussain, Michael Atherton, Michael Vaughan, who we bumped into the airport, they were all saying that even though the last couple of World Cups is sided with the hosts, this one prior to the tournament they felt will probably be more even Stevens, with Australia and England having so much experience in the IPL and knowing the surfaces like the back of their hand. But it hasn't come to fruition. And I think I will side with Nikhil here, Akshay, with England being such a disappointment. I understand where you're coming from with regards to Tom Latham and Temba Bavuma, but no one really saw it. I think everyone, hand in heart, would have probably had England in that top four, right? Maybe a few would have said and seen this coming, but look, the burden of the team, just to reiterate, is the England's batters, because it doesn't really paint a good picture for all their fans. 26.9 as an average on a whole as a batting unit doesn't spell well. Right. Keep your comments coming through. Of course, we'll keep them at the end of the show. But meanwhile, let's move on to the third award of this award show. And yep, you guessed it. It is, of course, the controversy. Right, there are few to choose from, but regardless, the one which, of course, stands out the most is the timed out one, where Nikhil is pointing at his watch. Many people might say the controversy is about India and how they're rigging all the games and the toss and all of that stuff. Let's bin that chat, because look, India have just been dominant. People can't swallow that across the world, and that's why they're just throwing daggers about pitch doctoring and all of that stuff. But the controversial moment for me is the timed out one. Nikhil, take it away. What really surprised you then when you were watching it live? Did you expect it from Shakib? And where do you stand in it right now that it's been, what, 10, 12, 15 days since that's happened?
I'm same where I was on that very given day, and
Yeah.
the first thing in my mind was, oh wow, a new rule to learn today. Because I've always been bowlers FC. I feel the game any which ways is very protective of the batters. I'm not defending the rule. I'm just saying if it's in the if it's in the rule book and the umpires found that to be a violation, then there is no harm appealing, because batters don't walk when they edge. So it's all this, sportsman spirit. People will always apply it at their benefit. So as Matthews rightly points out, it was timed out, and he was timed out. And I don't think it's actually controversy, but it was just a fair decision, just something that we are not used to in terms of playing by the rules. Oh, nice. You also made up for him. Hopefully, I don't.
Sorry, my bad. I hate it. I hate doing that. Anyway, I was going to say 146 years since we've ever seen it come to fruition. Did you think that there would be something as bizarre as this? Because, Akshay, I mean, this tournament has given us some moments and it keeps giving. We, of course, will talk about the positive ones. But in terms of the biggest negative black mark, if you want to put it that way, do you think the timed out stands the tallest in your head?
If anything, I consider it to be a positive. Like Nikhil Bhai said, now at least all teams now know of another way of dismissing a pattern. That's how it should be. If it is a part of the rule book, then you make use of it. There's a reason why these rules are in place. So I wouldn't definitely not put it against anyone, and not Shakib in particular, of course. It's not black mark or anything. Happy that he was smart enough to appeal, and also he was courageous enough to stand ground on his decision, because the umpires did go back to him twice, asking him and confirming whether he wants to withhold the appeal. And kudos to him for being able to sort of hold his ground there, because it's very easy and very convenient for captains especially to just escape by saying spirit of cricket and all of that. Good on him. And he rightly said at the end of the game that the objective for me as my team's captain is to ensure my team's victory. I'm not here to play ethically correct cricket and all of that. And it makes no sense. It's a game. Like, end of the day, 10 saal baad, all people will remember is that Bangladesh won that game by whatever, 2 or 3 wickets. Not that, Shaki played it
No.
unnecessarily or something.
No, no.
I mean, no one will ever
They will.
remember that.
They will.
Come on.
Fine. Okay.
You'll
I
actually
stand-
remember it to win by 2-3 wickets. You won't remember this incident.
I'm not saying I wouldn't remember the incident. Of course, it is a first, so you would remember it. But what I was trying to say is that the result is more important, not the dismissal, the mode of it, and all of that. That's the point I was trying to make. And I really hope that happens to be the case. And if anything, again, like Nikhil Bhai, I don't think I agree with the rule. 100% the rule should be scrapped. But as long as that rule exists, I expect teams to make use of it. So it's again all of there's no black and white in this. It doesn't mean just because I don't agree with the rule I won't enforce it. Of course I will. है भाई rule. अगर मैं बैटर को dismiss करवा सकता हूँ वैसे तो करूँगा ही. So please make use of it. RCB वालों आप भी याद रखना shit.
Stop it. 1 second. Nikhil, I just want to ask you the inevitable question, which was, of course, even coming out on newspapers and news channels, of course, following this incident. Why hasn't it been done ever? I mean, surely you would have seen it in Ashes somewhere. Surely you would have seen it in some sort of international cricket. But why do you think Shaki becomes the first infamous man to do it, captain?
See, I think you need to think differently for all of such instances, because you look back at even the run out, the run out of the non-strikers, and the Ian Bell recalling. A lot of cricket for a lot of time has grown up on, oh, let's be the bigger guys, let's just do. It doesn't matter what is. As I said, the spirit of cricket is something that you will throw around by saying that you should play by the spirit of the game. But what is the spirit of the game? Is the spirit of the game nicking to first slip and waiting for the umpire to give you out? If that is the spirit of the game, then there is everything that should be allowed in the game. So here, the people are not even breaking the law. The reason why we haven't seen it is maybe it doesn't happen as maybe the delay was too much. I think that is the only first thing that comes to my mind, that maybe the delay was so long that even for the fielder to think and go to Shakib. I mean, imagine you have to think that the delay was so long that the fielder had this thought, he went to Shakib, then told him, and then they appeal. So it meant that they had enough time. I don't think usually you, again, just speculating here, but mostly you see people ready and coming in, so that thought doesn't occur to you. But maybe in this case, because the delay was so long, and it just occurred to them that, okay, maybe this is a mode of dismissal that can be tried. And it may have happened in the past, people may have suggested, but because again the public image is what you want to maintain, that, oh, I don't want to be seen as somebody who, I will not play like that. It is fair, to each his own. I'm not going to take, okay, by it is not right or wrong. It is okay, you've decided for yourself, okay, but it's not out of the law. So I think that's just the only way out. Okay, it may have, the situation hasn't come through, is why we may have not seen it that much. And again, it makes it very interesting to see that it did actually occur to someone, which is great. I mean, we finally have a first.
No, it just makes you think, guys. The fact that even people on X and Instagram at the time were probably adding 1+1 being the inevitable 2, which is, oh, it's Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, it's a hot rivalry, there's still lots to play for, even though these two teams can't make the top 4 with the Champions Trophy qualification on the line, Shakib being Shakib. So they were just trying to do their own little math in their head. But like Nikhil and Akshay rightly mentioned, and playing devil's advocate, sometimes it's important to play that. I know it's easier to kind of side with Matthews in this regard and say the spirit of the game is tarnished. But look, it's well within the rules, like Nikhil and Akshay pointed out. And Shaki might be slandered for it. Ulita will tell if he goes on to do that against a Virat or a Rohit, but I don't think he would.
The situation will not arise. That is something that people need to they also say about non-striker and all of that, but they don't. You have to realize, people in India, in Indian cricket system, you don't get to bat. So when you don't get to bat often, you are going to do all your basics right, and it is just what it is. You can't do much
you can
about it.
see that with Virat Kohli. He's a prime example. Be it about staying within the crease, or be it about being ready. He's ready from ball 0.
Even then, in that Pakistan game, the last ball that Ashwin was lofting, he was there inside the crease. He was not looking to take a head start before the ball went out. So
Exactly. And also one more thing. At the end of the day, just remind me again, which team out of these two qualified for the Champions Trophy? I might be forgetting.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I mean, are you guys just waiting for a long pause to get your laughs out?
I just, like, all of a sudden I was like, wait, what happened? I thought my internet froze. But no, just one more point to make was, Avnish, you should speak about Ashes and how why this wasn't done before. You're forgetting that just like how Lodge is called the Mecca of cricket, Ashes is the Mecca of spirit of cricket. They'll be the last teams to even think of such a thing. That's
Nay,
how
nay,
sort of
nay. This is all just. Don't want to use that word, but it's
Say
all
it.
crap. No, no, it's crap. They all play things. See again. You just have to be very practical. Everybody plays by the rules when they want to.
Hmm.
It is as simple as that. Nobody walks. Nobody appeals when they know there is an inside edge. So it ऐसा कुछ नहीं. Keeper appeals. हाँ, अभी रिजवान तो देखो मतलब एयर बियान के लिए भी अपील करता है वो. तो you can't do much.
Yeah,
classic case.
no, go on. Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll let that one sit in the comments because I really want to get people's thoughts and opinions on that and where they stand on it now that we look back at certain moments. But that definitely hogs the limelight in terms of controversies of this year's World Cup. Right, time to move on to the next award category. And this is something that I genuinely like because we all are, in many ways, this category. I'm talking about there's so many which stand out when we talk about unsung heroes. And remember, just to give you a little bit of insight, if you guys don't know what this award really depicts, it's those characters and players and heroes who've not been getting the praise that the other rest of the teammates have been. So let's, of course, take a look at the nominees for the unsung heroes of this year's World Cup. And straight away, your eyes hit Bumrah, it hits KL, but there's, of course, Santner, Marco Jansen, and Keshav Maharaj. Bowie. I didn't think this will actually be a really tough award to pick, but let us know in the comments who you guys think should win this particular one because we've also supplemented their numbers of this year's World Cup and how they've gone about their business. We know Shami has been hogging the limelight, like I said, for India, but Bumrah, 18 wickets for him, and he's just been so good to see. Mitchell Santner, I mean, initially he was running away with the top wicket taker prize, but then in the last fag in the World Cup, he's been more economical and not been wicket taking as such. But nonetheless, he's been a fantastic unsung hero for New Zealand. Marco Jansen, you can't ask more from him because he's one for the future for sure. 17 wickets will do a world of good. And not to forget KL Rahul, who was my X factor for the World Cup. Brilliant World Cup so far. And even better, 15 catches as a wicketkeeper and some blinders there as well. Not to forget Virat Kohli's wicket as well of Scott Edwards. And finally, Keshav Maharaj, the man that we saw against Australia, who pulled an absolute peach to get rid of Travis Head, I think it was, in Kolkata. Let's see who the boys think the award should be given to this category. Nikhil, I'll start with you here. Who is it? Is it a man in blue or green?
No, it is blue, and that's KL Rahul. Quite simply, if you look at the efforts that he's had with the bat, I have not seen anybody bat better than him in this World Cup. Virat has the runs, Rohit has the runs as well at a very good strike rate. But when you're batting at 5, you are either looking to correct the tone or you're looking to play to the tone. And I think he's been able to adapt to every single challenge thrown at him. You look back at the 2 for 3, you'll see how we batted. In the next game, you look how we batted. It is the calmness, it's the composure that is shown that it's almost like there's a lot of line that is in commentary. ये पहले से set होके आया है. So he's been able to adapt to those surfaces and different challenges, and this is happening since the Asia Cup. So while he may have, so to say, tapered off because he came in at a couple of difficult situations, but even then he got a start. So it's not like he hasn't got a start. He's not a. Sometimes when you're trying to change gears, you will get caught up in it. So I think I'll give him that. But you look at those catches, as you rightly mentioned, the blinders, and most importantly, DRS. He is being very, very good in terms of taking the emotion out and being very practical and objective about, yes, this looks far more out than not out. Let's go for it. So I think, and again, I don't know whether he's an unsung hero or what, because we are a nation that loves to hand over credit certificates whenever we can. But I think he's done his job to the best of his abilities. I personally expected a lot more from Santner and Maharaj, because I think Santner also had a great few games, but then he tapered off. Nothing much with the bat. Keshav Maharaj may not have been used well by Temba, but I still felt there were wickets where he could have done a lot more. Marco Jansen struggled for control, to be very, very honest. Even the semi-final, those are not the games where you can just have a you can afford having an off spell, because when you're playing with just five bowlers, it makes it difficult. So I think, and Bumrah I still think has a role to play, hopefully tomorrow. So does Rahul. But just so far, I felt Rahul has done much better in terms of than he gets credit for, is what I feel.
Yeah, top points there. And even the DRS and the catching, he's just been so good. He's given Rohit the cushion of comfort with regards to all those calls. In fact, I think it was a last game where there was a kind of vociferous appeal from KL where he went on and then he was just like, no, no, no. And it was just almost like telling you that, listen, there are emotions, but of course, he has the heart well placed, but he has a head
Yeah.
placed even better.
And also, it
Akshay,
is, you know, sorry, it was just so quick. It wasn't as if that, he's celebrating and then he has time and then he's saying he celebrated, but that switch was so quick that no, I don't know, no, let's not review this. So I think that's just tells you a lot more about how good the space is in, which is good.
Yeah, and even the batting that Nick's mentioned, Akshay, it's almost been a ripple effect after he got that 100 against Pakistan in the Asia Cup. And from there, he's just been brilliant to see. And no wonder, I think one of the Monday Night Lives, we were happily putting KL as our X factors, and he's delivered 100%. Going back to that particular nominees, then, Akshay, who stands out for you? Are you in agreeing terms with us, with KL Rahul, or do you have a different pick?
I mean, I both agree and disagree. I agree with that. Kale has had a phenomenal World Cup, something where he's far exceeded our expectations as well, which is very heartening to see. But would I call him the unsung hero? I don't know, because he's gotten credit. A lot of people have recognized the fact that he's actually done well. And for me, at least in my head, when I think of an unsung hero, I try and think of people who haven't gotten the credit they deserve for the performances they've come up with. So looking at it from that lens, I'm slightly left field pick again, but I would go for someone like a Janssen. Till that India encounter, he was having a fantastic World Cup. Unfortunately, it's completely derailed in the last 10 days. Almost like Kolkata आना ही मतलब बहुत बड़ी गलती हो गई. I'll never forget, watching him bowl those 5 wides down the leg and one straight to Makram on the offside off 2 consecutive deliveries. But yeah, till the 5th of November, he was having a fantastic World Cup. With the ball, he knew how to swing the ball. He knew when to drag his lengths back, when to bowl full. He was doing everything right. Even with the bat, he came good against, if I'm not wrong, that was England at the Wankhede, where he scored that blitzkrieg, 75, 40 ball 75, 50 ball 75. So that was also great to see, something we'd already seen in the SA20, that this lad knows how to bat. We'd seen him tong Rashid for fun and help the Sunrisers franchise there win a game. But again, very good to see him, come good at a platform like this. Again, it might not have ended on the right note. So because of recency bias, we might think that he's not had a good enough World Cup. So, but anyways, keeping that unsung part in mind, I would probably go for Marco Jansen.
Okay, good points. Because just to, of course, tell you guys again, we've just absolutely picked the ones that we think are unsung heroes, but they might be not unsung in your eyes, and there might be others who are unsung heroes, of course. So let us know in the comments when you guys are watching this, whenever you guys are watching this. Right, time to move on to another particular award category. And this time, it is, of course, this one. Show of the World Cup. Just bear with us with regards to what this award category is all about, because once I put this depiction, it will clear the air. Now, we, of course, are talking about what really stood out in terms of that moment, which we were just absolutely going gaga on the screen. There are 5, 6, potentially 10. I know many of you guys are looking towards the left side of this depiction, with Maxwell being the undoubted winner. What he did, I don't think I've ever seen something like that in cricketing history. Should we just give Maxwell the award? I know there's Kohli, which is my favorite fucking player ever, getting his 50th done. Shami 7 for is just the best ODI figures for an Indian. The Shami's over to Stokes, where he absolutely had them on toast, and the manner in which Stokes got out playing that shot, as you can see there, and not to forget 100 class and century in Mumbai as well. So, guys, it has to be Maxi, or is it Virat? I mean, again, not to have my own allegiances here, but Knicks, who do you think really stole the show this World Cup with their innings or their moments?
It shouldn't come as a surprise, but I'm going for Shami versus Ben Stokes. I think it was very apt. and very good to see that entire spell where he's setting it up, setting him up, setting him up, setting up, and the one that crashes into the stumps. And again, it is Mohammad Shami. Ben Stokes is, I don't know, maybe not to India, but he's someone who you know how big a wicket he is. Until the time you don't get him out, you feel that he'll always just find a way for you. Uh, Nothing to take away from Maxwell, but you know where and what I think about that entire game. So I'm not going to talk about it more. Klassen was excellent, and so was Virat in his 50th. Getting his 50th ODI turn, and especially the manner in which he got there, and it almost felt a life circle completed there. And Shami's 7 4 was again great in the New Zealand game. But I just feel that Stokes dismissal. If there is one memory that I want, hopefully I have another maybe from tomorrow. But if there is one memory that I'll always close my eyes and look to feel or play again, then it will be that dismissal to Ben Stokes and just that entire spell. Because I think we've played a lot of cricket with England, and just for Sami to not be that "Arey yaar, unlucky Shami beating the edge wala Shami," to get him the ball crashing into Ben Stokes. Maybe it's just the optics that how it looked is what makes it that much more special maybe for me.
No, it was 100% so sexy to see in terms of cricketing viewing. And how often have we grown up as Indian fans, Akshay, as just being like, gobsmacked about the batting that we have, right? We talk about all the greats, but this World Cup, I just enjoy India's bowling, and it's pretty much because of one man, Mohammad Shami, what he did to Stokes that day. With all due respect, we're not talking about a Karuratne, we're not talking about a bloody Fawad Alam, we're talking about Ben Stokes here, who's absolutely had on toes, outswinger, in swinger, outswinger, outswinger, like just setting him up. If you guys go see that, Nikhil, I completely agree with you with regards to that. In fact, Jaydeep also going on to say in the comments, saying 7 for Maxwell for him. But Akshay, is it Shami for you with a 7 for? Is it Shami against Stokes, or is it Virat in his 50th? Because let's face it, he sits alone right now, the only man on the planet to get 50 ODI 100. So where do you stand on the show for the World Cup award?
पहली बात तो भाई फवाद आलम वहां पे सोच रहा है मुझे क्यों तोड़ा, मैं तो
I'm
वर्ल्ड
sorry.
कप तक नहीं खेला भाई, मैं क्या कर रहा हूं यहाँ पे. But either way, is coming back in terms of performances. Sure, that Shami spell to Stokes was fantastic, and like Nikhil bhai said, more than anything, the optics also just sort of added to the entire setting. The way he got bowled, the way he sort of played all over it, and the wickets were just the ball just crashed into the stumps. So that was great to watch. But yeah, for me, I just can't go past Maxi's double ton, man. It's just incredibly hard because all these other knocks in isolation, objectively, are just another. Like for example, Klaasen's century was just another century. Kohli, of course, that was his 50th ton. But if you look at the performance, since we are talking about the show of the World Cup, in isolation, that's just another century that Kohli scored. Shami's 7 for was a very, very, very good shout. Was a very close shout as well. But Machi's double ton is something I followed a lot more closely. I was doing the live blog that day, just thinking कि हाँ अब तो ये खत्म हो जाएगा, अभी खत्म हो जाएगा, अभी खत्म हो जाएगा. Cut to the games, just not getting over, and then with all of the pain, the cramps, the sore back, and all of that, him being able to do it despite that, it was just crazy, and it was as maxi as it could get. So yeah, I can't look past Maxwell.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, if it was in Afghanistan, I would have given it to Maxwell also. But yeah, it just took me 2 days to get out of that knock itself. Only because of Afghanistan, not because of Maxwell.
And it was not just like a 120 or 130. The fact that he walked in when it was 91 for 7 to get a 201 and 128 balls or whatever that was, it was quite ridiculous. And look, the pickle juice helped him, the stretches helped him, but he somehow just got everything, right, Akshay?
100%. And Nikhil bhai talking about this just made me remind of that meme where the husband and wife are sleeping, the wife is looking at the husband just in deep thought, ये किसी और के बारे में सोच रहा है, कुछ तो सोच रहा है. वहां पे निखिल भाई, अफगानिस्तान कैसे हार गई यार ये मैच, 91 for 7 से कैसे हारी. निखिल भाई अब तक बेचारे सोच रहे होंगे वहां पे. Just had to get that out.
But honestly, that day, I agree with Nix. We felt so bad for Hazbatullah Shahidi and his men over there who seemed like rabbit in front of the headlines after Maxwell just going at it. And then you had the cool and composed nature of someone like Pat Cummins blocking balls out and playing the situation perfectly. So Maxwell, I think, does win this award. Just maybe in some cases, he hands down wins this awards. But as you can see, the other nominees, just to reflect, if you guys are joining us in this cricket.com awards night, Heinrich Klaassen, Shami's over to Stoke, Shami 7th for, and Kohli's reaching his 50th done. Let us know in the comments, of course, whenever you guys can. It'll just be good to know what you guys think with regards to the show, the World Cup award. But we've gone down definitely for the big show to win this category. Right, as Akshna just sneezes, let's go on to the next particular one. It's pretty bad, man. Ahmedabad, I don't know what it is, the ventilation of the weather, or we're just knackered doing the World Cup, but it's going to end soon. But talking about all the other things that we want to see in terms of the award nights, let's move on to the next category. And yep, you guessed it. It is, of course, Tare Zameen Par, or should I say, the start of the show. Right, of course, let's talk about this particular award then. And before we move on to the other particular awards, I just wanted to get this one out of the way because my producer's just giving me a little belter in my ear. And let's have the nominations, because ultimately we look at this particular list of players who we've selected as nominees for the Star of the World Cup award. Now, obviously, there are some no-brainers in Quinton de Kock and what he's achieved, given the fact that it's his last World Cup. What a swan song for him. Virat Kohli, most runs in a World Cup edition and counting. Only time will tell how much he'll end up with the final against Australia tomorrow. Mohammad Shami, he's 4 away from equaling Mitchell Starc's record in the 2019 World Cup for most wickets in an edition of the World Cup. Only time will tell if he gets there. And then Adam Zampa, who's really had a forgetful first game in Chennai, but he's bounced back brilliantly. I know he went wicketless against South Africa in the semi-final as well, but his 22 wickets does put him in the nominee list, beg your pardon. And finally, a man that we just touched upon, Glenn Maxwell, and what he's been doing for Australia, not just with the bat in hand, but even with the ball in hand. He's been so clever, keeping an economy of under 5 in this madness era of ODI cricket. Gents, I know my answer, but I want you guys to tell me who it is for y'all.
Please, Akshay first.
All right, if you say so, if I get some time between all the sneezes, I'll just try and sort of get my, monologue out there as quickly as possible. For me, 2 very close shouts. One, of course, is Shami. Like a World Cup that one can only dream of. 23 wickets in 41 overs in 6 games. We're talking about him being just 4 wickets behind Stark. We need to understand that Stark played 11 games, bowled over 100 overs for those 27 wickets. Shami has bowled roughly 40% of that, and he's just 4 wickets behind. That's the madness we're talking about. 9.1 is the average. He's taken a wicket every 10 balls. Like, again, all these numbers are just hard to even fathom, let alone believe. So that's why Shami, again, phenomenal World Cup. Like, almost anything, that we've asked of him, he's delivered. Like, he's almost been the most, the most complimentary bowler, so to say, to Bumrah. Siraj has been a bit, he's been blowing a bit, hot and cold, and that didn't help us. But Shami coming in that kind of form, he's almost single-handedly taken care of the batting value that Pandya was going to add with the ball. And that's been great to watch. But the other name is Maxwell. Bat to humne dekha hai, nearly 400 runs at a strike rate of 150. That's if that wasn't crazy enough. And to be honest, that I don't think is crazy enough, because if anything, I personally have rated his bowling higher in this World Cup. He's been I don't know if go-to spinner is a bit of a stretch, but he's been their most accurate spinner, even more so than Zampa. I feel that he's offered Australia a lot more control, especially in the middle overs. In the absence of someone like an Ashton Agar, they knew that they didn't have a second spinner. For Glenn Maxwell to step up and play like a proper true blue all-rounder. I don't think he can anymore be called a batting all-rounder. He is an out-and-out all-rounder who I think can also give you 4 overs day in and day out in a T20 game as well. So because of that bowling performance, I'm just a bit sort of, in 2 minds because of that all-round performance, that freakish all-round performance from Maxwell. But I might have to side with Shami, man. Just cannot look past it. It's been fantastic. Day in, day out, he's been taking wickets for fun. He's been taking more than 2 wickets every game. He averages 3.2 wickets, if I'm not wrong, in every World Cup game that he's played. Just crazy, crazy, crazy numbers. So yeah, Shami for me.
I like the point about Maxwell, Akshay, because look, he defines all-rounder in the truest sense, like you mentioned, with his bowling and how he's been accurate. He has plans for every batter, right? If he bowls to a right-hand batter, he figures it immediately, bowling around the wicket. left-handers, of course, he kind of has their number at times, and not to forget what he does in the field and saves so many twos and threes in the inner circle during the power play, but even, of course, taking some blinders in the deep as well. Lots of people saying Shami, or maybe it's Kohli, like Mohit over here, going on to say tough call between Kohli and Shami for the man of the tournament. Do you think a bowler will get it this time? All I would say to that, and it leads me nicely to ask Nikhil this, they often say, Nikhil, bowlers win you championships and batters win you games. Do you think that's the thinking of the ICC when they hand out a winner to Shami, if he does get it? The fact that he's just come in 6 or 7 games and he's already up there in terms of the highest wicket taker list. So for you, who is it? Virat, Shami, or someone else?
See, no disrespect to anybody, but I don't think it's even a competition to just give it to Shami. And I'll just say this to people also, that don't worry who ICC gives it to. You know, whatever happens tomorrow, it is not a thing to fight over. कि रोहित को नहीं मिला, कि विराट को नहीं मिला, कि इसको नहीं मिला. Whoever takes it, what you must take into consideration is your premier all-rounder getting injured. For years, you have spoken about how will you balance the side, how will the 6-5 go, how will the 6-5 go, and here comes a man who has just come in and he's taken a wicket in almost every first over that is bowled. You look at the New Zealand game, you look at the England game, you look at, but you just pick games, and he's gotten good people out without giving them a chance. And it's those numbers are maddening. It is, you can't even find words. Average of 9 is not, this is not even a video game. Video game में भी इतने कम रन पे तुम विकेट नहीं ले सकते. So, and it's not even that he's got junk wickets. Let's also put that out. It's not that he's got junk wickets. He's gotten people out neck and crop. So for anybody, and as you know, Akshay also pointed out, it's, you rewind and hear those numbers. Only 40% of the bowling that Stark did, and is already on 23.
Yeah.
So it just tells you how single-handedly he's made up, as he rightly said, for the runs that Pandya was to give you, and the confidence to the side that you do whatever you want, main hu. I'll come in, I'll take wickets for you whenever you want. And again, you don't win World Cup without contributions from your batters, because in this side, everybody has done their role to the T. Shami has just exceeded expectations, and he's exceeded what you would normally say a normal World Cup for any bowler. Because if you're overshadowing people like Bumrah who bowled so well, but he doesn't have the wickets for it. But Shami has not only has the wicket, but he has the bowling to also tell you that how good he has been. So again, there is still a day to go. A very, very crucial match for him to make an impact in. But I'll just say, please don't fight over who gets the player of the tournament. Just be happy that you've seen what you've seen.
I know the thing with Shami, guys, like, let's face it, like, I know Virat and the others that we see in this list right now, they don't get slandered ever, okay? And I know we are, of course, living in a country where people love to dish out criticism early. He dropped a catch the other day, and so many people are just like not even thinking about all the wickets that he got. I'm just like, hold on to your bloody thoughts, man, because this is a man who's walked in, and like Nikhil said, seamlessly just taken wicket. I mean, seemingly the pun over there. But look, essentially, I just think about it from, look, every athlete has a tale to tell. Every sports person has a story. But we put it out on our Instagram as well, where he was having a chat with Rohit. I think it was in 2018, Mohammad Shami himself, and how he's kind of gone through a little bit of a difficult period at that point in time. He was contemplating suicide, things like that. So it's not easy for a bowler to come in a competition like the World Cup and just take like a duck to water. I think Shami's just been hands down brilliant for me. And as much as we praise the batters, I'll go back to that. It's, of course, winning a game of cricket. And how do you win a game of cricket? By taking wickets. And Shami's given Rohit that all the time. I think even if you look at Rohit Sharma's celebrations every time Shami's gotten the critical breakthroughs against New Zealand the other evening, he was just absolutely delighted. And you know what Rohit did to Virat in that 82 not out, which he scored against Pakistan and MCG, right? Like, always know that Virat's going to be lifted by Rohit. But then for Rohit to do the same thing about Shami tells you how much Shami's actually become Rohit's go-to man. over someone like even a Bumrah and Siraj. And that is the best compliment we can pay Shami, because what he's been doing for this World Cup is just been brilliant. And I hope one more game, Mohammad Shami, please give us one more game, a 5 foot rattle the Aussies and overtake Stark's record. And that'll just be perfect to see. But look, let us know in the comments if you guys completely agree with us or disagree, because these were the nominees that we were kind of bickering about. Quinton de Kock, of course, Virat Kohli, Shami, Zampa, and Maxwell. Just to, of course, ask Akshay to finish this off before we move on to the last one. Akshay, if you just had to put in chronological order in terms of, not chronological, ascending order in terms of your nominees, you spoke about Maxwell there. You've, of course, highlighted Shami. Where do the other three sit in your pecking order?
I'd probably have to go Virat, Adam, Quinton in that order. Again, Quinton, because similar to Janssen, he sort of tapered off towards the end of the tournament. So
Zampa over de Kock for you?
Yeah. Again, like I said, only because just like Janssen, de Kock's form also tapered off in the end. So that had a bit to do with it. Kohli has been in form throughout. We saw him score a century in the last league game. We saw him do well. Of course, not a century. We saw him score a 50 in the last league stage game. We saw him score a century in the semis as well. We saw him score an 88 in the first game. So he's been there throughout the tournament. So that's why I would rate him above Zampa and de Kock. Same is the case with Zampa. Of course, he had a couple of really good performances in between. But overall, he's been a lot more consistent, or a lot less variance. There's been a lot less variance with him, so that's probably it. Or it's hard. I'm just nitpicking right now between de Kock and Zampa. Both of them have been good. Just coming up with reasons. Or else नहीं तो 4-5 पे आप दोनों को किसी भी order में लगा लो. But Kohli over them for sure.
Santosh Shirapa in the comments saying Zampa 22 versus Shami 23. Yeah, let's see who wins that race in terms of the most wickets tomorrow. We'll, of course, have the answers in that final. And Sports Fan also mentioning a very important point, because Nick said a while ago it's not junk wickets, but it's also this point to be considered, the fact that who knows, he would have taken so many more. Yeah, Nick.
Tomorrow. He should open the bowling tomorrow.
Tomorrow, indeed. Right, guys, it's been a fascinating awards show so far. We picked out some clever nominees. Of course, if you guys are just joining us, please like this video and subscribe to us, because we're moving on nicely to 39K and hopefully 40K by the end of the World Cup. And let us know in the comments if you guys agree with our selections or disagree with them. Finally, last but certainly not the least, 6 out of 7 awards done. And we're saving the best for the last, because, of course, wait for it. It's part of every particular show. Where is it? Where is the sting? Is there no sting? Can we play it? Can we play it? It's the Lifetime Achievement Awards. How often have we seen that in all the Filmfare Awards gone by and all the Golden Globe Award winners and all of that? So we're sticking with that theme in terms of one man and one man only. There might be other selections, and I'd love to hear what the comments say. But what we've gone for, and we're not making him sound like he's playing his last World Cup, but let's be honest, I think he is going to be playing his last World Cup, and it is the man, the hit man, Rohit Sharma, because what he's done has just been absolutely outstanding. Honest to God, I know I'm more of a Virat fan, but let me just put my fan allegiances aside, because what Rohit has done has just been absolutely flabbergasting. A, because he's a captain, B, because he's an opener, and C, the fact that he just has balls more than any other batter in the world right now. Sure, you can draw comparisons to Travis Head. Sure, you can draw comparisons to David Warner. Sure, you can draw comparisons to Quinton de Kock. But what Rohit Sharma has achieved in this World Cup, it's just been fascinating to see with regards to essentially not just this World Cup, but overall his World Cup record, 700s or 1,500 runs. And that's why we're picking him in the category of Lifetime Achievement Award, an average over 60. And no doubt, he'll probably end up as one of the top 5, maybe top 3 ODI players, given that what he's achieved for India. And like he said in that first ever press conference, unfinished business, and hopefully the business gets finished tomorrow without putting any mockers in it. Do you guys think it's fitting that someone like Rohit gets the Lifetime Achievement Award? Because, look, let's be honest, maybe Virat will surprise us all with his fitness and play another World Cup. But Rohit Sharma, what he's done in this World Cup, what he did in the 2019 edition, what he did even in 2015, some would say, with some blitzkrieging knocks, Dix, you can't look past him. Can you?
No, I mean, in the very first MNL, I called him as the guy to look out for in terms of the one single guy who will make the biggest impact. And the reason was very, very simple. He missed out on the last home World Cup, and he and he talked about how much it hurt him missing that World Cup, and uh, all but immense amount of respect and really heartfelt admiration for Rohit, because for a long time India have been saying that they'll play aggressively, and everybody, we've all talked about it in what happened in the T20 World Cup and how it did not come through. So for him to then just go back to the drawing board, find a way that, okay, this is how I'm going to play. And the best part about all of this is being the clinical nature of the aggression. It's not that he's gone away from what are his strengths. He's stuck to his strengths. He's not just coming down the wicket randomly to anybody and anyone and looking to hit them anyone and anywhere. There is a particular method to all that he's doing. That he's playing people on the merit of the ball. If it's there to be hit, I am going to back myself to play the best possible shot on that. And it's mostly been very, very clinical. It's not that he's missed a few fielders and then he's got those boundaries. It's been very clinical. If you bowl wide to him, there is no swing. He will come down to lofty over covers. You lose your line marginally, is able to flick you, pull you, and even hook you with disdain. So I think it's the clarity of mind and it's the hunger to really leave an impact. And I think that's what you associate with Rohit Sharma. Every time you watch him, that you just feel he's different. You felt it when he hit that six in the T20 World Cup. You felt when he was cover driving in the CB series, and then when you saw him in the Champions Trophy as well in 2013, you always saw those signs. So I think this is a very good culmination of all of those memories coming back in terms of giving Rohit and Indian cricket much deserved return for investment, because you have to remember he's probably the one guy who's been invested in so much. You know, you very rarely see our entire system backing one person so much, and it is so good to see that he's been able to repay it since some time now. It's not just now. He's been able to repay that faith in enough times post probably the Champions Trophy. But this World Cup has just been very, very special. That it's not about that extra second that he has. It's about the extra effort that he's put in the off times to be able to figure out that this is how I want to bat and this is how I'll bat, because we've heard everybody talk about, can you do it on the big day? Can you do it on the big stage? One game done, another game to follow. So all the good luck, Rohit.
Yeah, and the fact that he's been the senior statesman of this side, even though he didn't play that 2011 World Cup, it just makes you think it'll be so fitting if Rohit wins the World Cup tomorrow for India as a captain, as an opener, as a flamboyant batter in the modern era. And like Nick said, it's about the investment India have had in someone like Rohit Gurunath Sharma, and it's just come to fruition without a shadow of a doubt. Just speaking about his batting, Akshay, the margin of error, Nick's touched upon that as well. Rohit, we can always say that, he has more time because that's thrown out quite a bit. There's also another little thing that he has a spring in his bat. I think Maurice Erasmus kind of said, what is a bat made of? And then he just went on to show his muscle. It just makes you think, Rohit, when he's in this mode, he's a hitman for a reason, right? And do you think opposition bowlers actually fear him the most in the world right now, even compared to someone like a Maxwell and Virat?
Could be the case because the way he's sort of been attacking the new ball, it's just been great to watch. And something I saw Nikhil Bhai speak about on Twitter, or rather on X. Just a second.
Bless you.
Sorry about that. One thing we need to understand is a lot of people have been trying to compare this performance from Rohit Sharma with Brendan McCullum's performance from 2015. And I sort of do agree with Nikhil Bhai. I might not have followed the 2015 World Cup as much, but from what I've seen in retrospect, the highlights and all of that, I do agree with Rohit Sharma not really slogging this time. It's not blind slogging whatsoever. He knows how to punish the bad balls. In fact, he's good enough to even punish the good balls. And that's how good he's been. And we need to understand that and respect that. Not really the case with McCullum. With McCullum, you knew that his the idea was to be aggressive. Sure, that was a different approach. It worked for him. But just because both of them were scoring aggressively does not mean they both are similar. Sure, the ends might be the same, but the means that they use to justify those ends, that is different. And we need to understand that. And that's why Rohit deserves a lot more respect.
for him to be able to, not lose his shape while attempting those shots with the new ball, with so much bounce, with movement, with all of that, and for him to also understand and respect bowlers when necessary. Against England, he realized that boss, the surface isn't good enough for him to just go all out. And they lost early because they lost Virat Kohli for a no score for a duck. So he knew that. And then he respected the bowlers. He bided his time, went about and got another fantastic knock. So yeah, hands
And
down. Yeah,
and
sorry,
just
mate.
to add to that point about McCullum, and see, it is a lot of us get lost in terms of trying to compare, but you can't really compare the two sides also. New Zealand are built very, very differently as opposed to how India are built. Now, you put a McCullum in this Indian lineup, you will and him to partner Rohit, people will be scared. Dude, how do you have two such openers? But it doesn't work like that. You have to play to your side. And to credit Rohit Sharma, I'm not going again, whatever McCullum did, New Zealand did, I'm not comparing with them. I'm just saying for India, it was the perfect recipe for the top five, that you have a very aggressive opener, you have an opener who's batting deep, and then because one guy is being very aggressive at the top, it allowed Virat to bat at his pace. And because Rohit could trust Virat to bat long, bat deep, he could take those risks as well, because he knows, okay, if it doesn't come off, I still have people following me who will take care of the day and at least get us a power score. So I think you have to respect not just the one person but the entire management also, that they were able to come through with a plan that looks very good on paper. But again, eventually you have to credit everybody to be able to play their role. So I think that context also has to be there, that it is everything plays a part. It's just not just one guy doing it, it's a team hitting everybody as a combination.
Yeah, and that's an important point because that's something that's been, of course, doing the rounds on social media, but it's absolutely key to understand because everyone kind of slags off Virat for taking his time, but he's, of course, India's insurance policy, and his role is to, of course, bat the 50 overs. Rohit's role is, of course, to get off to a flyer, and Akshay said correctly. You look at even that game against England where he had to kind of bury the hatchet and kind of, play the waiting game, and he did that quite beautifully. So Rohit Sharma, rightfully so, lifetime achievement award, guys. And why wouldn't we give it to him? There were some other outside the
Akshay is
box
crying.
contenders.
Akshay is
I know,
crying
I
this
feel
year.
so bad. I
Kushi
feel so
ke
bad, not
answer.
for Akshay. I feel so bad for myself because I'm bunking with Akshay and I feel I'll feel bloody sick at the end of the night. Hopefully, a spicy bunna mutton does
ऐसा
him
नहीं
good
कि I
later
feel
tonight.
bad for अक्षय, ऐसा नहीं है. अरे भुना मटन खाने जाना, ये तो मेरा भी तबीयत बिगाड़ के जाएगा. देखो भाई.
At least that's better than sneezing and coughing. I thought you had a plate of onions in front of you by the looks of your eyes, or you were just crying for Rohit Sharma Lifetime
खुशी
Achievement
के आंसू,
Award.
खुशी के आंसू.
Kushike Asu. But some left field shouts with regards to when we are picking this nominee just in office. We were talking about Mohammad Nabi and him being such a long servant for Afghanistan cricket and what he's done. You look at that bizarre stat as well, where I think Afghanistan's played like 150 odd ODIs and Nabi's been pretty much part of all of them. Quinton de Kock, because it's the last particular tournament, but Rohit Sharma, clear winner here, and why wouldn't that be? Guys, it's been a
Also,
fascinating show, and honest to
musical
God, I've
chairs,
really, really loved doing it. Go on.
musical chairs for Bangladesh,
Musical
rotating
chairs.
captains for Sri Lanka. Arey, you have to mention all of them as well. It's a lifetime thing. They keep doing it.
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt. Saturday Cruise, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate all you guys joining us right now. I'll just feature a couple of comments before we end proceedings. Lifetime
Yeah.
Achievement Award sponsored by Dhanmi Sena's perfume and gets to a smirk. Vikas also going on to
Just
say,
shout out to
remember I
that
told
ad.
you all will have to have Rohit in the all-time playing 11 by the end of this World Cup. Here you are. Sorry, okay, what were you saying?
I was saying just a shout out to the ad, not to Dharam Sena, but to the person in the background. What a phenomenal actor! The guy couldn't care lesser about the fact that Dharam Sena is promoting a perfume. Guys, if you haven't seen it, do check it out. It's so funny. It's so, just very random. Yeah, just had to put it out there.
Okay, let's
problem?
pan into some more comments right now. I want to challenge Avni to go 10 minutes without lad and lads. You're not going to see me in the next 10 minutes. So look, lads, I'll just get it out of my system for sure. Sports fan saying Netherlands beating South Africa was a
Yeah.
highlight for him. He also saying Babuma by Miles was the burden on the team. Chachant going on to say Ashwin should be also nominated. Unsung on the
And some on the
bench.
bench.
Chachant obviously being typical Chachant. And sports fan also going on to say Hardik is the unsung hero that way, only getting injured. We got Shami. It was a perfect blessing in disguise in sport without a shadow of a doubt. And Paras Arora, being cheeky as ever, show of the World Cup is Kudrat Ka Nizam turning into Kudrat Ka Intikam.
Baap re.
Will Yeah, that's a little heavy. Then, of course, Jaideep Gujera saying Rachin for him.
Rachin, yeah.
Uh,
Fair.
yeah, and why not? Because Rachin's also been definitely a story. RKP, I don't know who you are. Please subscribe. And all these emotions, what are you talking about? Are you talking about Shami? Are you talking about Virat? Let us know in the comments. We'll pin the best. And Chaitanya Patil, Avnish asked the sending order while Akshay was giving the sending order. Really? We'll have to look
Typical,
at
typical,
that.
typical.
Typical indeed. Because it's the final tomorrow, we'll just take a random one. Any of you guys have any hope tomorrow? Yes, we do. And I know it's the hope that kills us, but yes, we do. We should blow Australia out of the water, where, of course, in red hot form, it can't be perfect for an Indian fan more than this. It's happening here. We're waiting for so long. All our stars have come to the fore. I don't know, guys. Nix, your gut feel right now, because I think in 24 hours' time, we'll all be glued to the television sets, man. It'll be so nervous to watch.
Yeah, but this time I think we would know in our minds who we know, who we think are winning. I'll just again just say, just enjoy. See, knockouts are not something that you can just be very bullish or bold about. Silly things happen, crazy things happen in the knockouts. All I'll say and hope is, so far India have done great to tick off most of the boxes. Tomorrow is just another day to do all of them all over again. It's just continue to do what has worked for you. There is no need to do something extra or very different, because whatever you've done so far, you've been able to adapt. That will be the challenge tomorrow, and Australia will not allow you to make mistakes, which is good, because which is what you want to see in a final. So stay on your toes, which I know they will. Adapt, and all the best, because you'll do well. It will take something special to beat this side. That is, if that doesn't give you hope, then I don't know what will. But Australia have come here to play. They found a way. They'll hope that they'll find another way tomorrow to test India. I hope India finds a way too. So स्लाइटली शांति से कॉन्फिडेंटली देखो, एंजॉय करो, बाकी तो अपने हाथ में कुछ नहीं है.
Indeed, and enjoy we will. Enjoying this comment as well from Pranamanand. Australia has 5 World Cups, India have 2. As an Indian fan, we deserve to be 5 for 3 tomorrow. He's playing in certain puns over there. And Akshay's teary-eyed right now because he might be catching fever, but he'll be doing, of course, a preview and review. And who knows, could be tears of joy for Akshay, who's been an anti-national all his life, for India to win the World Cup, which will be good to see. No, just joking right now. Akshay, honestly, thank you so much for your time. Even though you've been sick, Nikhil, you've been a star as ever. And all you guys in the comments as well have been terrific to just add value to this awards night show. I know all you guys might be watching it later. So, of course, do that whenever you guys can. If you guys are just tuning into the cricket.com platform, we're done and dusted with the awards night, but it's, of course, available right now on YouTube. And there will be lots of content going out tomorrow from the cricket.com platform. So press that bell icon and stay tuned to all the updates, whether it's shorts, whether it's our preview show, which starts at 1:25, whether it's more. We might start it slightly earlier tomorrow, given that it's a grand showpiece. So just wait and watch what we have up our sleeve for you. And of course, Monday morning, it'll be cricket.com fan cams. Only time will tell if it's Indian fans, which will have something to sing, Australian fans indeed. I hope for the former, but only time will tell what's going to happen. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there. Subscribe and like and comment. I'll say no more. Cheers.